Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about and giving a little review on the new movie Twisters. So before I get started, I would just like to say I haven't seen the original Twister in a really long time. I have seen it, but it's been a really long time. We did want to watch it before we went to see this movie, but we just didn't have time. Here's the thing. Was it predictable? Did we know what was going to happen right from the beginning? Did we figure out a lot of the things? Yes. Did I still have so much fun and absolutely love this movie? Yes. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I gave this movie 9 out of 10. If Inside Out 2 hadn't come out this year, this would be my favorite movie of 2024 so far. I absolutely freaking loved this movie. I had so much fun in the theater. I really want to now rewatch the original and see how much I like that one, and then just buy this movie when it comes out and rewatch it because I loved it. So this movie stars Daisy Edgar-Jones as Kate, and she is a meteorologist student. She's working towards her PhD, and the movie begins with her and her group of friends trying to set up an experiment that will hopefully get them some grant money to continue this experiment, and it goes very wrong when they think they are up against an E1, potentially an E2 tornado, and it turns into an E5 tornado. So they are just very not prepared for this. It's not what they were expecting, and it goes very, very wrong. Almost their entire group ends up dying from what happens during this experiment and because of this crazy tornado that hits. It's one of those stories where, you know, it's very determined character, something bad happens, they decide, oh, I'm going to give this up, never doing this again, and then something pulls them back into it. That's exactly the story of this movie. Like I said, it was very predictable. She is doing this experiment, something that she is extremely passionate about. Something goes wrong. 5 years later, she's now moved away from Oklahoma. She's living in New York where they don't even have tornadoes. She's still working in weather, but she did not continue her PhD. And the last surviving member of her crew from the beginning of the movie, he finds her and tries to recruit her to come along with him to do some storm chasing for this new company that he is involved with. She says she doesn't want to. She's out of the game. But then something convinces her to go back and go with him. So all this stuff ensues where there's the group of cowboy storm chasers led by Glenn Powell. And spoiler alert, they're the good guys. And the crew that she's actually now involved in, they're actually doing some pretty sketchy, not very great stuff. It was a very predictable movie. Very early on, it was like, oh, they're going to be the bad guys. Oh, who would have thought the cowboys are actually the good guys? But either way, it was still so much fun. I loved it. I love Glenn Powell. I think he's such a fun actor. I think he does such a great job in all these things that he is in. And he's very good at being like this very handsome and charming character that maybe at the beginning we don't necessarily like and we don't agree with him. But then as the movie goes on, we realize, oh, he's actually a pretty stand-up guy and maybe we should like him. The only thing that Sam and I did predict in this movie that we were incorrect about was we predicted that the character of Kate, her mom was actually Helen Hunt from the original Twister. We predicted this because she talks about her mom, but you never actually see her. She is very secretive about her last name. And also at the very beginning of the movie, they do have the Dorothy, which is the sensor thing. I don't remember. Big sensor barrel type of a thing that they use in the first Twister that Helen Hunt's character actually develops. So they actually have that at the beginning of this movie. So my thought was like, well, how did they get that? Her mom is Helen Hunt. And turns out we were wrong. Her mom was not Helen Hunt. I feel like they almost kind of really wanted you to think she was, because even when we first meet her mother in this movie, it's a very slow shot of her mom in the dark and just slowly approaching the light. And then it's not Helen Hunt. So we're like, oh, I guess it isn't. One cameo that did make it into this movie was Bill Paxton's son was in this movie. He plays a customer at a hotel that is complaining to the front desk worker that the cable has gone out. Meanwhile, there's a massive tornado outside while everybody else is trying to find safety, try to get to a basement or something because a tornado is coming, and Bill Paxton's son is just there complaining that the vending machine doesn't work. So that's one cameo we did get in this film, was that the late Bill Paxton's son was in this movie, and he was a fun character. You would think he'd have something more to do with tornadoes and the whole tornado process in general, but no, he was just a mean customer that ended up getting into his truck and getting blown away by the tornado. When I was younger, I had a weird fascination with tornadoes and twisters and all that kind of stuff, because I actually was camping and a tornado hit the campground we were staying at when I was like 7 or 8 years old. So ever since then, I have always had a fascination with tornadoes. I was terrified of them for a long time. Like literally, if the wind was blowing hard enough that trees were kind of swaying, I'd be hiding in the basement. Like, I was terrified of tornadoes for a long time, but I also had a huge fascination with them. I still think it's a really cool weather phenomenon that happens. It's definitely really scary still, and the destruction that they can ensue is insane. And I thought this movie did a really good job of showing that, and not just necessarily talking about the science of it. There was still science in this movie. Did I understand it all? Definitely not. There was a couple scenes where Daisy Edgar-Jones' character and Glenn Powell's character, they were discussing all the science of the tornadoes and the science of what they were going to do in terms of Kate's experiment from the beginning of the movie, and how they were going to build upon it now. There was all this science talk. Did I understand any of it? Not at all. The visuals of the tornadoes was insane. They were so cool, so well done. The destruction that they showed and how brutal these tornadoes can be, especially since usually they only last like 15 to 20-ish minutes. The destruction that they cause is just insane. And I really liked that this movie showed that, and showed people capitalizing on the loss that so many people go through when these tornadoes come through, but then also showed again these cowboys being the good guys. We think that at the beginning of the movie that they're just there for YouTube views and all this stuff, but they're actually there helping out these families. They sell these corny t-shirts with Glenn Powell's face on them, but all the money goes towards bringing food and meals and help to these people who have been impacted by a tornado going through their home. Was this movie corny? Was it predictable? Yes. But I had so much fun with it. Some people may not agree with me on this point, but pretty much the entire soundtrack was made up of country music. And I'm from Alberta, so I was all about that. I loved the soundtrack. I've already downloaded all the songs from the soundtrack. I will slowly listen through them, but I was very happy to hear so much country music in this movie. Some people may not agree that that's a good point, but I thought it was great. This movie was corny, it was predictable, but it was so much fun. The acting was really good, the characters were really fun, the visuals, the sound design were fantastic. I just had a blast at this movie, and like I said, if Inside Out 2 didn't come out this year, this would be a very strong contender for my favorite movie of 2024. We walked out of this movie and I was like, is it too much to say that I think that deserved a 9 out of 10? Sam had fun. He said he would give it like a 7 or an 8 out of 10, but I don't know. I just loved this movie. I had so much fun with it, and I can't wait for this to come out on DVD. I am very glad we did get the chance to see it in theaters. I was worried because it has been a few weeks in theaters, but I guess it's just been doing really well, so they've kept it in theaters for quite a while. So I'm really glad that we got this opportunity to see it in theaters, because it was so cool to see this movie on the big screen with the sound and everything. And I will still buy it and rewatch it down in the basement in our movie room, but it just definitely won't be the same effect as seeing this in theaters. So anyway, that is my little bit of a review of Twisters. I absolutely loved this movie. I cannot wait for it to come out on DVD. I am so gonna buy this as soon as it is out and put it into our collection. that's going to be it for now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. I post new videos every single Friday, and I'd love to have you here. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.